Knock knock. It's the Lizzies and they are ready to be potted up. Man alive, it was windy out there today. We are in the startup actually of our windy season out here in the southeastern Arizona desert. And I think I spent some time actually out there chasing down my plants on top of trying to get all of my stuff repotted. So as you saw at the start of this video, my Lisianthus were pretty much crazy, which is what I expected. A lot of folks that are growers of Lisianthus will tell you that they start off as they look so tiny on top, but they are setting those roots underneath, and that is exactly the case that happened. I hadn't checked on those guys for a few weeks at this point, but basically they were telling me like, hey, most of us are ready to go. Some weren't exactly, and for some of those that were just so tiny, I decided to just cut my losses with those and just move on to saving what I could, which is fine. I got probably 50-ish plants in total. So the good news is that I have a lot of Lisianthus that germinated, but unfortunately I'm running out of space. In fact, if you can see behind me in that back part, I actually have had to use my overflow space and lighting just to have a spot for those Lisianthus. So I've got both of my spare grow lights back there, doing those, as well as one of my bottom trays. And then I actually had to steal my bottom trays from some of my snapdragons that were already kind of sitting outside, just because I needed to have them inside in order to have the capability to bottom water those new transplants. So a little bit nervous because I don't quite know if I'm going to have enough space for some of those upcoming flowers that I'm going to have coming through here soon, that have to be planted out and started as seedlings. So fingers crossed we can start moving some stuff outside. I can get the large main beds ready to go. That way we can start planting some things, and I can have some of my actual equipment back. That was the other thing today, is that I ran out of supplies. I actually ran out of the little plastic pots that I like to use for when I pot up, and then I also ended up running out of, I ended up switching to like some plastic drinking cups. I ran out of those. Those have always been my backup, you know, for the past year or so. Like they're like my last resort, and unfortunately I ran out of those too. I've got to order a couple more things. One of those is probably some more plastic pots just in case I don't get things transplanted out here anytime soon. And the other is I need to get some more of those trays so I have the ability to bottom water those new transplants that have been potted up. One of the things I did want to talk about too, outside of all the craziness of the plant starting, is that I had a great Valentine's Day market, and I wanted to share that feedback with everybody because, as you probably saw in one of my videos, I had a not so great market. I was totally anticipating that, but I was nervous going into Valentine's Day. I was so nervous because the last thing I wanted to do is show up and then not sell a single thing. You know, if you heard my last market story, basically what happened is I sold enough literally to cover my booth fee, and then that was it. I walked away with $5, which honestly probably didn't even cover my gas or my breakfast that morning on my way to market. I knew it was going to happen, but unfortunately I still don't think I was ready for it. So I went into the Valentine's Day market extremely nervous. But the other aspect too, I didn't know how warm the reception would be for dried flowers on Valentine's Day. I know a lot of folks want to have fresh bouquets and roses and everything else for their beloveds. And I stay true to my convictions, and that I don't like to sell anything I do not grow myself. I am one of those weirdos that just wants to do that, and unfortunately I don't have many growers around me out here that I can easily go to and pick up supplies. So my only route, if I truly wanted to have flowers for people to buy that were fresh, I would have had to go the wholesale route, and a lot of our wholesalers out here honestly purchasing from Ecuador and Colombia and everywhere else, which I'm just not kosher with, right? I am all about the slow flower movement, the local flower movement, and so that's where my heart and my passion kind of lives. So dried flowers, I wasn't certain how those were going to go. There was a slight caveat for this market for Valentine's Day. I actually did discount price quite a few of my things because I still had heart wreaths left over for Valentine's Day, and I still had obviously a lot of Valentine's Day colored mini bouquets, reds, purples, pinks, and things of that sort that I know are beyond this holiday, are probably not going to sell super great as people want to start thinking about spring related things like Easter and Mother's Day and things like that that are upcoming. My dried flower bouquets I normally would sell at 10. I actually heavily discounted those down to $5, and so I actually did really well. I completely sold out of all of my bouquets, which was amazing, and I actually sold all of my Valentine's Day wreaths. So I came back with none of that. The only thing I had was just a handful of overflow spring related wreaths that I had that I put out just so that my booth was not completely empty. Not very many people did bite on those though, obviously, because everybody was in the Valentine's Day mood for that market. So, but that was the first time, guys, we did it. We sold out. Woohoo! So that was really exciting, and it was nice to kind of have that boost. I only have 2 markets left of my dried flowers before I switch into taking a break and then coming back for around Mother's Day to have my, hopefully my flowers out of my own garden to sell for Mother's Day weekend. So with that, some of my dried stuff that I still have left is probably going to be pretty heavily discounted for the next 2 markets. I know a lot of folks out there probably are like, why are you doing that? Why are you, heavily discounting your stuff and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm a hobbyist, guys. I don't do this full time. If I did, then I would definitely take in my margins and things like that to make certain that I was making some sort of profit. I still technically am, to be honest. It's just not going to be like 50% markup or something of that sort. It's going to be a lot lower just in order to push that inventory out. I honestly don't want a lot of dried stuff left over. To me, dried flowers tend to degrade. They lose their vibrancy and color the longer you kind of have them sitting around. And some of them actually tend to shatter after so long, like your straw flowers and your gomphrenias and things like that. They're not going to last forever. So that is why I'm not so hell-bent on having a huge plethora of dried flower supplies, because I know it's going to come back anyways, right? As I continue to grow this year, I'm going to have more and more that I can stock up. So if I can push all of that out of here, great. With that, I wanted to share that success with you, and I wanted to also take some time to just show you around what's going on here in the grow room, what's going on outside still with some of those little smaller transplants that we have. Hi, I'm sitting down to edit this and realize that I never put an official segue in the video so that we could go tour the garden and the seed room. So here it is, segue. So not only was I repotting my Lisianthus, I had to repot my firmament as well as some volunteer Rudbeckia. On my top shelf, it is full right now of all those gomphrena seedlings that we've started, some of the basil seedlings, and I also have some jewels of opar up there as well. On the second shelf, I have Rudbeckia, Sweet Annie, and then a huge tray of different varieties of strawflower. Outside, we have some larkspur finally starting to peek its way through the ground, as well as my yarrow is still hanging in there. And then I have lots and lots of seedlings. Mostly a lot of snapdragons are what you're going to see probably in these next couple shots. I have so many. These guys really need to get in the ground. I do have some status right there that probably needs to also start getting replanted. And then again, more and more snapdragons. And I'm not done yet. More and even more, yes, snapdragons. And my bee balm is doing excellent. It's finally establishing itself. And then finally, let's look at the wildflower bed. We have a lot of greenery and growth going on in here. I'm really excited to see what's going to pop out here next. And then in this tiny little grow bag, I have some transplanted status. And on these, I actually have some globegilia. It's kind of hit or miss, unfortunately. We are in the thick of February, and I'm so excited for March because March means that I can now start my zinnias out here, which I am so stoked about. I have bought some really nice designer style varieties of zinnias this season to test out, and I just can't wait to have some of those. So I'm really looking forward to getting this started, but fingers crossed that we can get all of this other stuff ready and get it outside because I'm running out of room. But anyways, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.